so we thought we'd do kind of a recap of 2021. For most of the world, 2021 was a challenging year, a crazy year. The world kind of seems a little crazy. But for us, it has been a fantastic year of travel. We have been all over the state of South Carolina, every corner.
All the corners.
All the corners. We have hit most of the big time parks in the state of South Carolina, the state parks, with a few other little small trips kind of sprinkled in. 10
day trips, overnight trips, long weekends, even a 4 or 5 day trip.
We've camped every month of the year, except for the month of December, amazingly, because we took a trip to see Nancy Lee's family in Mississippi.
Sans camper.
Yeah, without the camper. It just didn't fit in our schedule to make a trip this December. But we still got in, I think, 15 trips in the year. 2021's been pretty good for us.
Yep. So a super quick recap. We went to Lee State Park for the first day hike, Huntington Beach, Myrtle Beach State Park, Lake Hartwell with a side trip to Sadler's, Oconee State Park with a side trip to Coney Station and the waterfalls, Kings Mountain, and with a stop to Lansford Canal on the way up, which is gorgeous, Drew Island, Calhoun Falls. We went to Ocean Lakes, not in the camper, but our favorite summer activity. Calhoun Falls with a side trip to Hickory Knob and Baker's Creek, Edisto, Hamilton Branch, Paris Mountain, Ocean Lakes again with the camper, and Oconee, and then to a camping trip to Clemson for a football game.
Yeah, it's been a busy year. It's been a busy year. It's been a fun year. To kind of recap our year, we'll take a little bit more time to talk about the different parks we went to. We started off the year doing the first hike. The South Carolina State Park, really, they want you to get out on January 1st. We'd never done it. We rode up to Lee State Park.
The path of least resistance.
Yeah, it's just
not a difficult part, not a difficult hike, and a quick park to get to.
It's real local for us. It had actually stormed on January 1st, so the state park system honored the first day hike on the second day. So it was wet, but we had a nice little trip to a great little quiet park up in Lee County. Our first booked site, we decided to try and hit the beaches while it's not so crowded. So we went, I think about the third week in January, and hit Huntington Beach State Park.
Which is my favorite beach so far, even though we froze our behinds off at Huntington.
It was cold, and it was mostly because it was windy.
Oh, at Huntington, we went to
Hampton Plantation.
Hampton Plantation.
Yep, we forgot that in our quick list. So we did ride down to Hampton Plantation. That's mostly outside, so it was cold again. It seemed like it took forever to warm back up. It was windy. Man, it was windy that week.
The wind was the worst part, I think.
But we still had a blast. We enjoyed the Nature Center. We did hikes.
The Nature Center's great there.
We did a lot of fun stuff while we were there. So don't think that you can't camp in South Carolina during the winter.
Just remember to pack warm clothes. The kids had warm clothes. Mama did not have warm clothes.
So we
ended up at the playground in like a blanket.
And luckily, we did hit the store and got some gloves and some other things that we had forgotten, being right there near the beach.
Yeah, we have camper warm clothes.
There's all kinds of stuff close by. So then we went back to Myrtle Beach State Park in February.
And it was not cold, but it was rainy.
Exactly. It had rained. Several sites were flooded. We were fortunate. We were in the back part closer to the highway. During the winter, not so sure I would recommend that because of the road noise with the trees missing their leaves. It was a little
But in
loud.
the summer, I would bet it has bugs. So I don't know that back part is our favorite for them.
But we still enjoyed the park while we were there. We once again hiked, enjoyed the Nature Center. They did a scavenger hunt that was really neat. Did the pier.
Oh, they got patches for their scavenger hunt.
They did a really great job. So again, February, you can still camp in South Carolina. Don't think that you can't.
Well, I mean, as we're filming this, it's like 75 degrees outside.
True. Yeah, it's the last day of the year, and it's almost 80 today. So in South Carolina, you never know. One thing that you skip past this one in the quick rundown, we did take a day trip up to Goodall State Park. I think it was late February, early March. It was before it had really gotten warm. Again, it was local for us. It's not a campground that has campsites, so we just took a day trip up one Saturday to Camden. Enjoyed walking around, enjoying the hike around the pond. Another one, it was wet. Remember Sam Henry running down through the pit, and he hit
so wet.
He hit the little wet spot and just slid. And our kids have what they call winter break at their school, so we took winter break and went up to Lake Hartwell State Park. Officially, I think it's in Fairplay, but it's outside of Anderson, right on the Georgia line. Probably one of the first in what I would call the Savannah River Lake campgrounds, and we wound up seeing all of those this summer. That was the first one. Lake Hartwell was kind of up near the north on Lake Hartwell.
And it still was in its winter season because it was March, and so it was half of it was closed. Like the ones you see online where you're like down in that little water valley area where you come down the mountain and you're like right there on the water. Those were all closed, so we got to kind of wander around and check them all out.
Yeah.
I can tell you that in like the winter, you would not want to pull a camper up that hill to get down that curve to get down there. It was gorgeous though. Yeah,
one thing about the upstate of South Carolina, it does ice, so it makes sense.
But it was all paved. Like we wish we brought the kids like scooters and stuff. If they, the bikes were, they couldn't get them up the hills.
Yeah. We also rode over while we were there to Sadler's Creek, which is also on Lake Hartwell, actually in Anderson. Got to check that out. Nice little park, a little more rustic, gravel instead of paved, but beautiful sights. They were renovating Loop 1, so we couldn't really see it. We kind of walked down there, but you couldn't really tell it was all tore up.
So it's kind of on our list to hit.
Yeah, we'll get back to that one once we get the rest of the 47. Then by that time it kind of started warming up. Spring break hit.
Spring break.
And we hit Oconee State Park.
Which is still my favorite upstate state park.
It was a fantastic trip. We wound up with a really nice site across the street, across the little road from a pond. Beautiful place. Again, rained a lot. That was the theme of the early part of our travels. It was wet. It rained a whole lot. We rode over to a county park, and I'm drawing a blank on the name. I'll stick it up here.
The waterfall.
Saw a waterfall from the parking lot. While
it was the only one you could drive through.
Yeah, while it was literally pouring down rain, we rode over and took a chance to see that. And it's got an odd name.
We also hiked that one. We went to Oconee Station and hiked to the waterfall while we were there.
Yeah, Station Cove Falls, which was beautiful.
Yeah, and an easy hike if you go to Oconee Station and drive. Super easy hike. We know you can hike from Oconee State Park. Not an easy hike, but you know.
If you're into hiking, that's a good hike to take. Then our next trip was Memorial Day weekend. We went to Kings Mountain State Park.
Loved Kings Mountain.
Kings Mountain was a great park. I love the area. Again, it's still that kind of upstate, rolling hills feel. There's an amazing national battlefield next door from the Revolutionary War. They've done a great job.
It's like an interpretive path that really tells you, like, right here, this is what was happening. You could see from here, you could see the soldiers coming down the hill or whatever. It was like the kids actually stopped to read all the things and enjoyed it. And they're little, so that was a big.
That was neat. That's the place where we actually introduced our inflatable kayak. Went kayaking on the pond. So there's a fair amount to do there. We really enjoyed Kings Mountain.
On the way up to Kings Mountain,
I forgot about that one.
We stopped to see the water lilies at Lanford Canal.
Spider
water. Dang. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, they are.
They're gorgeous. And you hike along this trail, and there's everybody, and it's a very well-traveled trail, and there's everybody from senior citizens with walkers to like people who are carrying their kayak back. And you're like, oh, this is lovely. And then you turn the corner and everybody just stops dead still because these spider lilies are, as far as you can see, it's like a football field of them. And they're gorgeous. You can see people kayaking through the water down, where they're right there. But they're just huge. I thought we were hiking to see like a bush of this unique flower. But it was just hundreds and hundreds of them. And you just could have stood there all day.
You've got about a 3-week window in May in order to... into May, 1st of June, to hit the spider lilies.
They say like the 7th of May through the first weekend in June, just kind of depends. So, check the South Carolina Parks Facebook, and they really do a good job. The Facebook specifically, when they start blooming, they're posting pictures and they're saying, now's the time to go to Lanford Canal, don't miss out.
Yeah, and they were spot on. We happened to hit it. What the state parks system this year called the Peak we were there that weekend of the peak. It was beautiful. It was a stunning.
And that was Memorial Day weekend. Was the peak.
Right. So Memorial Day weekend, or sometime thereabouts, go up and check out Langsford Canal for the shore, something. Rocky Shoal spider lilies.
There they are.
It. Rocky Shoal spider lilies.
Should have had my book while we were doing this.
Then we went to Dreer Island. First weekend in June. Turned out right after we did Kings Mountain, we went to Dreer Island.
I really liked the water experience we had at Dreer Island. Dreer Island's not my favorite of all the lakes that we've been to.
You know, I grew up on Lake Murray. I know that lake really well. The park, the issue with the park is a lot of the sites sit up high, and
they're real narrow.
Right.
So every camper all the people that are camping are doing all their stuff behind their camper
towards the water
instead of beside, and so you're not seeing anybody, or in front. We are sometimes in the front.
Yeah.
So there's no interaction with anybody else. Like everybody's in their site. They've got their boat or their jet ski or
which some people
kayak,
may love.
and if that's a place for you if you want to go and do your thing and no interaction.
But part of what we love is the interaction and getting to talk to people. So that
and
was
they
a little.
Didn't have much of a camp store, and they didn't have a nature center, and
but the water is awesome. If you've got a boat
yeah.
and you want to go do the boat activities, go
the
fishing.
Water, we kayaked off that. The kids swam the whole time, and they were pickled. We saw turtles and snakes and
birds and
lots and lots of birds.
It was.
So there was nature.
Yes, it was a good trip. Just probably not our favorite of the lake trips, but our next one was.
Yeah.
Now, before we went to the next campsite, we did go spend a week at Ocean Lakes. We have not made a video about that. We just go spend a week at a friend's house that we rent. We love Ocean Lakes Family Campground. We'll get back to Ocean Lakes here in just a minute, but just we threw that weekend in there, and then we went for 4th of July to what I think was probably my favorite lake campground.
It's probably the best one.
In Calhoun Falls. Calhoun Falls is remote. There is nothing really close to it.
And it's not close to us either. You kind of have to go around your elbow to get there.
It takes a while to get there, but there were no boats on the water. It was peaceful. It was beautiful. The sites were very well done, paved with rubber kind of walls around, borders on them.
Almost like timber, but the rubber version.
Easy to access the water. It was just all around a really great park.
We fished. The rangers were great there. They told us the best spot to see this or the best spot to see that. They were very helpful. Really interacted with the kids really well.
And they've got a boat landing there with a dock where you could actually store your boat for a year
or live on your boat.
Yeah,
there are people who lived on their boat there.
So
cool.
it's a neat park. We really enjoyed Calhoun Falls. While we were there, we went ahead and rode down. I mentioned earlier the Savannah River chain. We rode down and checked out Hickory Knob and Baker's Creek. Baker's Creek was in the middle of a remodel, so it was a little torn up.
But they have some great.
I want to go back. I want to go back and see that.
And we didn't get to see a lot of the camping situation because they were in the middle of a redo. But their day situation's cool. If you're near Baker's, they have that big
pavilion.
And they had a nice beach and a really nice playground. So if you're, if that's your kind of neck of the woods, that's a great day situation.
Yeah, and I want to go back.
And that's on our list to go back, like Sadler's Creek, when they kind of get it together.
They're dealing with a pine beetle infestation. That's why they had to take all these trees out. And they said, while we're in here, we're going to remodel it. That is, as of this year, the only seasonal park in the state park system.
Yeah.
They may, as they finish this, may make it back to a year-round. That's still to be decided. We also went down to Hickory Knob. We got to see the South Carolina's only resort state park.
And we'll be honest, we didn't do a lot of activities at Hickory Knob. Yeah. We checked out kind of the facility area. We didn't hike or do anything else. The camping leaves a lot to be desired. The camping has not been up foremost on their list. They've got hotel rooms, they've got a golf course, they've got lodging, they've got barracks, they have all these other stuff, and that's where the focus for that resort has been.
There's a restaurant.
There's like even a little golf shop restaurant. There's a full restaurant, like a buffet restaurant. That's the focus of that park. Yeah. South Carolina's like, we got this many that have park camping. That one's not our number one focus. And so it needs some work, but that isn't necessarily their focus.
Maybe if
They
they,
had a pool,
if they update it, we'll go back, but it's not going to be on.
It's not a place we're going to camp.
So
for a while.
glad we visited while we were there. I probably won't be camping there anytime soon. Then after we got done there, we squeezed in a quick weekend to Edisto.
And squeeze is right, because we piggyback in the middle of somebody's trip.
It was you don't normally
Saturday.
You don't normally get to do 2 days at Edisto, but we got lucky.
In the summer.
We did 2 days at Edisto. Happened to catch the big finale of the bill fishing tournament. Nancy Lee won a
Yeti cooler.
We had an awesome time. The site was right on the marsh. A short walk to the beach.
I mean like 100 yards.
Beautiful beach campground.
And beautiful wildlife. And the pelicans came overhead from the marsh.
The raccoons
are a little aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive. That's a good word.
Not scary aggressive. Like, I'm going to take your stuff, and there's not really a lot you can do about it. Aggressive.
And they're just going to stare at you as they take your stuff and walk away with it.
Yeah, literally like, taking these marshmallows. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So,
not scared of people.
But we really enjoyed Edisto. Then we kind of wrapped up the fall round of the year with Paris Mountain on Labor Day weekend. I forgot about that.
I know, and that's one of your favorites too.
We did. We finished up the lake part of the summer.
In August.
Right before school started with Hamilton Branch. Hamilton Branch sits just south of Hickory Knob and Sadler's Creek, or Baker's Creek, on that same lake, the Lake Strom-Thurmond. Great park.
That park is amazing. You know, most campgrounds, they might have 2 or 3 campground areas. This one had 13.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
And they're all over the place, and they all were like Finger Lakes. Like every one, some of them had 5 or 6, some of them had 30. They all had water.
Every single site was on the water. Some had better access than
some
others,
didn't, but
they all had water views and were on the water. The only kind of knock I would give on those sites, some of them, because of the way the sites are configured into a T, some of them are backwards. So if you were to park your camper in a traditional back-it-in way, your awning is facing away from the lake.
But I will tell you, most of those, you could tell there had been a workaround. Like some people had come from a different site, or you could tell there had been a back-end situation. Also, really check the numbers on that one, the sizing.
Yeah.
Because some of them, they would say camper, but when you went and actually looked at them, they were really small.
They were really small. And also, because this was an older park, it was built before a lot of our modern rigs with the water and electrical and all the stuff that we have now. Some of them, the hookups are in odd places. Ours, the water was on the complete other side.
Yeah, we had a giant site, but the hose had to run.
Yeah, the hose
over
was running
there.
right through the middle of like where our loungy area, and my electrical cord was right at the lake because it was all the way at the front. But yeah, it's just part of it.
Figured out, yeah.
So, but all the sites are on the water, beautiful.
And
lake.
it was like being in a really, even though it's a really big campground. There's like 200 some sites.
It's huge.
We was only like 13 on our little
cul-de-sac.
And the kids rode their bikes, and it wasn't full of traffic. Where if you're on some kind of giant loop with that many,
kind of like Drew Island. Drew Island is one big, 2 loops.
Yeah.
So everybody that comes through has to come by.
Where this is a big loop with like all these spokes, and so our kids could play all on their little spoke without ever getting into like the mainstream traffic. And that made it really nice.
They were also doing some work there, taking out pine trees because of pine beetle infestation. So don't carry firewood, buy the firewood local.
Yeah.
Now, once we got that done, we started kind of our fall round.
A little slow, had to slow down a little bit because of fall and school.
With school starting back, Labor Day weekend, we went up to Greenville to Paris Mountain. Unbelievable hiking trails, bike trails. Beautiful
It is,
park.
and they call it Greenville's backyard, and there's a reason they call it that. I will say I might have tricked my kids into not realizing that they were on a 5-hour hike on that one. I really wanted to go to the mountain lake.
Yeah, lake number 3, reservoir number 3.
And the pictures just look so amazing. The hike was not, now we kind of finagled, there's a bunch of trails that all kind of intersect each other, so we did finagle like to go down the one that was steep and back up the one that wasn't as steep and stuff. So look at it, you don't have to just take the route you think you have to go. But it was a day.
It was a day, but you're right there in Greenville, so you've got all the.
If you wanted to do Greenville
all the
stuff.
things of Greenville are right there, 10 minutes away. But when
and it's a way smaller park, like camping wise.
Yes.
It's a
Awesome.
big park.
Our hosts were phenomenal. Yes, the sites are smaller too. There's not a lot of room for big rigs there. It's again an older park, but we loved it.
But that's where we went to the Music in the Woods.
Yes.
We did that one day.
During the fall, on Saturdays, they had music.
They had this big amphitheater that's, kind of built in there that's back from the
It was
40s.
Built. It was built during when the CCC built it. So back in the 30s, beautiful lodge, looking out over the lake.
Yeah, and lots of cool day stuff, swimming.
Even a little museum, CCC museum. So really enjoyed Paris Mountain. Then of course school started back, so we got just a couple more in. After school started back, we did a weekend at Ocean Lakes. Halloween weekend. Ocean Lakes has all kinds of great amenities during the summer. They got the water park and the putt-putt, and they got everything that you could possibly imagine on those facilities. But they do the holidays upright, and every weekend in the month of October is Halloween weekend. People go all out and decorate their sites. They get dressed up. They
trick-or-treat like nobody's business.
They trick-or-treat all over the place. There were just people everywhere.
It was awesome.
They decorated up their golf carts. We saw several 4 or 5 in a row that had decorated.
They were all pirates. They were pirate ships. I mean, the whole golf cart's covered in like cardboard and tall.
It was an unbelievable quick weekend.
You can't describe it. There's a video. He'll link it. You can't describe it.
So did Halloween weekend. Came back and then actually did Halloween weekend back at Oconee.
So this is my bad because I was under the impression that the Saturday before Halloween would be the 30th, and that's when we booked to go because they have what they describe as an amazing, over-the-top Halloween adventure at Oconee. Check the calendars with Oconee. I do believe it's actually like the 21st that's coming up here. It is actually the full Saturday before. So they'd had it on like the 24th.
They actually take the barn, they convert it into a haunted house.
There's a haunted house, but the barn is all bounce houses.
Yeah,
there's like 20 bounce houses all over the place. They
bring in food trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, they do it up. So we missed the big festivities. We still had fun.
We had a good time. No, there was a huge trick-or-treating crowd.
We thought we were going to go apple picking, and then there wasn't any apples
in that part of the world
because of a frost. So we wound up picking scuppernons, but we still had a great time. The figs. It had a great time anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely, Oconee. We will be back for one of your big weekends. And then our last trip of the year in the camper, we went up to a Clemson football game when they played Wake Forest the week before Thanksgiving. We stayed at the Grove at Clemson, or Clemson at the Grove.
Grove Park.
It's built for tailgating for Clemson. Some people would refer to it as parking lot camping. It is. It is a giant parking lot with little grass strips in between.
But you don't go there for the nature. You go there for your access to Clemson football, basketball, baseball, whatever.
And it was awesome. We got there on Friday night. They had a catered meal, so you didn't have to try and set up your food stuff and worry about feeding your family. It's already there provided.
They had games and things like cornhole and things for the kids. They had a band playing.
They had a band playing with a big giant fire pit going.
Yeah.
Then the next morning we got up and there were shuttle buses ready to take you over to the stadium. They dropped you off a block away from the stadium, and when the game was over, they picked you back up and brought you right back to your camper. So you didn't have to worry about parking.
Easy.
It was fantastic.
So especially if you're somebody who doesn't travel with, like we have a pool behind, so we have our car. We could have driven to the game and paid for parking and done all the things. Or if you're in a big rig and you don't tow something, and you want to go to a Clemson ball game, baseball, football, whatever, this is your ticket. This is amazing.
We actually saw several season ticket holders that bring their camper in when football season starts, and their camper didn't move. The folks next to us, their camper had not moved since the beginning of football season, so they just stay the entire time.
And you buy a season pass.
They bought a season pass. So it was a great opportunity. The kids, it was their first Clemson game. It was an awesome environment. Just all around great trip. So definitely recommend that. We're going to probably try and get back up there for a spring game. So it's been a great year. We've already got a number of sites booked coming up this year.
We'll go the first weekend in February to kind of kick off 2022.
And then kind of our big, we've already got 4th of July back at Huntington Beach.
We have,
we're looking forward to.
We've got Memorial Day up at.
That's going to be in outside of Charlotte at.
No, we have February, March, April, May, and then 4th of July.
So we've got a lot coming. Looking forward to a great 2022.
We
Subscribe to our channel if you want to keep up with the videos. We're probably going to do some kind of comparisons where we may compare Calhoun Falls to Hamilton Branch, or we may compare Kings Mountain to Paris Mountain. We'll kind of see.
Well, and we're looking at doing some of our like food prep, clothes prep, different things of like how we get ready to go for the weekend. But also, we encourage you just go online right now and book some things.
Yes.
You can cancel within 2 weeks and get a full refund. You can also sometimes call and they'll like transfer it different times.
Get out
there
and
and go there. If you have a camper, if you have a truck with a cab, if you have tents, if you don't, then take a day trip. South Carolina has the most amazing park system. There's a little bit of everything. There's always something to do. The rangers are great.
And great news here at the end of the year, they're about to add 4 more parks, maybe 5 more parks. They announced early in the year they're going to build one on Black River,
Which is
kind of
new
outside
from
of
scratch.
Yep, kind of outside of King Street. And then part of the deal with Dominion Energy buying SCE&G is 3 or 4 properties that the energy company owned are going to become state parks. I know one of them really well, the island, Pine Island on Lake Murray. I grew up right around the corner from it. We used to go out there when I was a kid.
So we don't know how
there's
long
more,
this
there's more stuff
infrastructure's
coming.
But even if you don't, take a day. Even
Get
if some
out
of
there
that are
and see it.
camping, Myrtle Beach is a great day trip one. There's lots of places to change your clothes. They've got nice changing rooms. Buy the pass. I wish I had the pass. Be like, buy the pass. Buy
we'll stick
the
it up
pass. For a day trip, it's $100. It's way less if you're military or retired, if you're over 65. But it gets you into any park, any day of the week.
Well worth it. Make 22 a great year to get out and explore. And we look forward to sharing more of our exploration with you.